Hello everyone and welcome to my podcast, Inside Adolescent. My name is Juan Jesus Moreno Gutierrez and today I'm going to talk about adolescence and how different psychological theories help us to understand this stage of life. So let's start. The adolescence is a period of important change. It's not only physical but also emotional and intellectual. During this stage, young people begin to question who they are, what they believe, and what they want to their future. In this podcast, I will talk about three theories: the biogenetic theory by Stanley Hall, the psychoanalytic theory by Sigmund Freud, and the cognitive development theory by Jean Piaget. I'll also mention similarities, differences, and a real example, and my reflection of this topic. Let's start with Stanley Hall. Hall described adolescence as a period of storm and stress. He believed that this stage is naturally emotional, with mood swings, conflict, and confusion. According to him, these changes are mainly caused by biological and hormonal development. This helps explain why teenagers may feel very emotional or act impulsively. For Hall, this is a normal part of growing up. However, not all adolescents experience this stage in the same way, so this theory can be a bit general. Now let's move to Sigmund Freud. Freud believed that behavior is influenced by the unconscious mind. During adolescence, he said that people enter the genetical stage where identity, relationships, and emotions become very important. Freud also introduced the idea of the ID, ego, and superego. The ID represents the desires, the ego makes realistic decisions, and the superego represents moral values. During the adolescence, these parts can create internal conflict, while teenagers try to understand themselves. This theory is useful because it shows that adolescents experience internal emotional struggles, not only external change. However, some of Freud's ideas are difficult to prove and focus too much on unconscious conflict. So now let's talk about Jean Piaget. Piaget focused on thinking. He said that adolescents enter the formal operational stage, where they develop the ability to think logically and abstractly. This means they can ask deeper questions like, who am I? What do I believe? They begin to question rules, analyze situations, and form their own options. I think this theory is very important because it explains why adolescents become more independent in their thinking. However, not all adolescents develop these skills at the same time. Now let's look at two similarities. First, all the theories agree that adolescence is an important stage of development. The second, they all recognize that adolescence involves change and transformation. Now, two differences. Each theory focuses on something different. Hall focused on biology, Freud on inner conflict, and Piaget on thinking. Also, they explain behavior differently. For example, if a teenager is rebellious, Hall might say it is biological, Freud may say that it's internal conflict, and Piaget might say it's due to more advanced thinking. Now I'm gonna give you a real life example. Let's imagine a 16 years old student who argues with her parents, feels emotional, and starts questioning rules. From Hall's perspective, this is normal, it's a storm and stress. From Piaget's perspective, she's developing critical thinking and forming her own ideas. From Freud's view, she may also be experiencing internal emotional conflict. This shows that combining theories help us to understand adolescents better. Finally, my reflection. I believe that Piaget's theory best explains adolescence because thinking changed a lot during this stage. Adolescents begin to reflect, question, and build their identity. However, Hall and Freud are also important because they explain emotional intensity and internal struggles. So, all the three theories together give a more complete understanding of this stage. To conclude, adolescence is a complex stage. Hall explains the emotional side, Freud explains the psychological side, and Piaget explains the cognitive side. Together, they help us to understand what adolescents experience. This is all for me, and thank you very much for listening all my podcasts. See you the next time.